Hi guys, welcome to today's session. In today's session, we are going to look at the Ruckus Wireless platform. So on my screen, I have the default page of the Zone Director 1200. So this is what you would see. So I'm going to go through the setup wizard. Now I am going to integrate it into our switch. So I would change the IP to a management IP and all of that through the setup wizard. And then we'll go through some of the default stuff and the menus on the device. So next, we're going to call it to lab. Next, IPv4, we're going to set it as manual. We're going to put it as 100.4. Yes, 100.4. The gateway would be 100.1. And we can have the primary DNS as Google. Next. So we are not going to create a default wireless LAN. I will go through that during the setup. Next. Okay. Right, so this should be it for now. Set teams and finish. So what's going to happen next is that I'm going to plug my PC into a switch port on the management VLAN, and I'm going to plug in the zone director on a port in the management VLAN as well, and make sure we have connected. Good, so now that I have plugged in the devices, let me go to the new IP, 192.168.100.4. Perfect. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through some of the menus. Right. This would be here because the device doesn't have internet access, so none of the support or any of the licenses will be currently applied. So like I said, this is LZD 1200. It's licensed for 5 acres by default, and you'll see a device serial number and the code version and things like that. So we are going to go through the monitor tab first. On the monitor tab, you'll see stuff like the current access points, things like that. You'll see the WLANs that are set up by default. We didn't choose that option in the wizard setup, so we wouldn't see that here. You would also track stuff like the wireless clients and things like that. Your applications used, you could go up to the last month to choose things like that. You have a generated guest passes. So in, I think, 2 sessions down, we would create a guest network for example, like a hotspot for guest users to come and connect to. And what we would do is show you all how to set up creating a guest pass so that users would not have any issues when you connect to your network. You could also see stuff like the alarms, the events. You can see system info, and then if you have a Active Directory array or server connected, you will see all the services. In the configure tab, this is where you can configure all of your stuff. You can configure the WLANs, configure access points. You have layer 2 and layer 3 access controls. If you want to whitelist or blacklist clients, you can do that. You have roles. So some roles, again, like any other device, you have read-only purposes. You have read-write or configuration parameters. You have users that could only be allowed to create guest passes and things like that. Again, the users would be tied to the roles based on what you configure. Every guest access that would tie to your guest passes and things like that. So what would happen is you would enable mesh on the access point, and it would connect to the closest AP. Now, we don't usually recommend you use mesh because it usually cuts every hop would basically cut the capability of the access point in half. Again, like I mentioned before, you have the ability to configure AAA servers. You have the ACP relay, and then you have things like location-based services, like any licenses for all of those things. And then you have the administration tab. Again, you can back up, restart, upgrade, apply licenses, and apply support and things like that from here. So the only thing we are going to do in this session is create the VLANs. Actually, no, let's configure the system first. So because I am going to manage this from the management VLAN, I actually need to change my access VLAN to 100. So I'm going to change this to 100 and I'm going to hit apply. Yes. So let's just give this some time to do. So what I will be doing, I'll be creating I'll create two VLANs for now. I'll create one for corporate access and one for guest access. The guest access will be tied to the VLAN 50 that we had created before, and the corporate access will be tied to the VLAN 40. Okay, so what we are going to do is run a continuous ping to this IP. So because we changed the access VLAN on the zone director, that means we are going to start tagging traffic now. Because of that, we need to change the port on the switch to trunk port. It doesn't need to have any other VLAN but management, but because different types of tag traffic are going to be hitting the interface, it needs to be a trunk port. So let me log in to the switch. 192.168.100.1, and all things should come up once I change the ports to one trunk. So this is plugged into port 27. Edit interfaces GE0027.0. Sure. So it's currently an access port in the net management VLAN. So what we are going to do is just remove that from port. So we set family Ethernet switching, port mode, wrong. Okay. And I am going to set the description. So set description. So direct. Just so we know what's on the top. So I compare, comments, 0 ports. This should bring back up all pings. Once all pings come up, we should have access to the web interface again. Perfect. So I'll minimize the switch. Let's reload this page. Perfect. Right, so let's go back and deconfigure tab. So as you can see, the access VLAN is now 100. The access points, the default IP on the controller is 0.2.192.168.0.2. The default IPs of the APs themselves are 0.1. So what I am going to do is I would connect the two APs to the controller. Okay, so I would have changed my static IP from the management subnet to an IP within the subnet. So this is what the page looks like. Usually we just go advanced, proceed, and the default login is usually under the AP, which is super, and the default password. So let's see. So what I am going to do is just change the IP of the device. Now, before I do that, I'm going to SSH into the AP. 2.168.2.1, and I'm going to set the control IP. So let's put that. Right. So if I go get director, you would see that there is no controller IP set. So what I'm going to do is set director IP 192.168.100.4. And I'm going to show get director again. Again, it needs a reboot. So reboot. And I'm just going to stay and look at the reboot. Let me run a pin to 0.1. So I can still ping the AP, which means it's locked. So just so you know, this is what one of the AP looks like. It's pretty cool. It's white, most of them, if not all of them. All of them that I've dealt with have been white. And you have some lights that says, ooh, you can't really see it. So it's Power Director Air 2.15. So all of the Ruckus APs are dual band. So they do broadcast on the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz frequencies. The director or the CTL controller light means that it can be managed by a controller or controller, like I said, is Ruckus 1200, the ZD 1200. So let me try to get this one. Let me see if this is up. Right, so the AP is back up. So now that that is done, I can actually go ahead and change the IP. I just need to verify that everything is fine. Make sure to take the management IP, and we should be good to go. So, perfect. So now that we're in, now I can change this IP. So I'm going to change it to 100 dot, the controller is dot 4, I'll change this to dot 5. And the gateway will be 100.1. And the management VLAN would be 100. And we should do it on 8 seconds. So yes, my parameters have been changed, but now I need to go back and plug this EP into our management port as well as switch back my IP. Okay, so since I would have changed the access VLAN on the EP as well, I am going to go into the switch and edit port 28 and set this as a trunk as well. So show set family Ethernet switching port mode now, and going to set description AP top true complete. Nice. So what I am going to do, I am going to add the other VLAN state one time. So we set, yeah, set interfaces 0028 dot family Ethernet switching VLAN numbers question mark. So with port Wi-Fi and just here. Again, so we would have added a description, change the port name to trunk, and we would have VLANs on the port. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to set the native VLAN ID, which is the VLAN, the fallback VLAN, basically any traffic that we wouldn't know would send it to the management VLAN. So the command for that would be, let me go back on the edit interfaces. Reset family, Ethernet switching, native VLAN ID is 100. Comment, this would be EP installed. Let's see if our ping to the access point will come up. Once the ping comes up, that means we have some level of connectivity. After the ping comes up, you go on the controller, check it and make sure that the access point is actually connected. Okay, so pings are up. So the AP would start looking for the controller now. Let's minimize ping. So monitor, access points. Okay, so the access point has been connected. So what you can do is actually click on the AP and you would see stuff like IP address, the MAC address, power, serial number, code, whether it's connected or disconnected, and the uptime. You would also see, like I said, it's a dual band AP, so you would see the 2.4 and the 5, all the channels available on 2.4 and available on 5. By default, all APs would go in the system default group. We wouldn't be getting into that today. And the WLANs wouldn't be broadcasting. WLANs, also known as wireless LANs, what you would also hear me refer to as SSIDs, is basically the network that broadcasts. So for example, at your home, whatever network that you connect to is called a WLAN or an SSID. So we would actually configure that. We won't configure that today, that'll be in another session. So right now we have a single AP connected. So if I go configure access points, like I said, by default, you have a single AP group or access point group. I would create a separate group. So the purpose of the access point groups is that if you want to have different networks broadcasting in different areas that has different access points, so you could create separate WLANs, tie those WLAN groups, and then assign those WLAN groups to specific AP groups. So if you have a boardroom and you only want the pop Wi-Fi broadcasting there, you could do that using the AP groups. So you only broadcast that network to that access point. So let's work on setting up the second AP now. I am going to configure this. Let's see, monitor access points. So right now, let me see if I can show you. Right now, this is the access point. You can see the power light. Okay, you can't really see it, but this is the power light that's on here, and this is the controller light that's solid. If this light is blinking, that means it's looking for the controller, but it hasn't found the controller yet. The other two lights, like I said, is 2.4 and 5. They would be orange when nobody's connected, and they would turn to green once users are connected. So let me just change back my static IP, and we'll get the second AP up and running. Okay, so this is the second AP. I am going to do the same concept, which is set the director IP. So set director IP 192.168.100.4, and we're going to remove it. So the second AP is a R310. It's also one of the newer APs. And I am going to make sure, okay, so the AP is currently rebooting. Once this is back up, we should not have a problem. So run continuous print is really not long. Perfect. So I took the IP. So what I'm going to do is internet static. We are going to change this to 100.6 to 100.1. To change management to 100 as well. And that should be fine. Update settings. So again, we need to reboot the EP. While the AP is rebooting, right, while the AP is rebooting, I am going to run the configs on this switch. So I just need to change my IP to 100. So this one should be 429. Restart session. Good. So let's get this configuration done. Oops. Input interfaces GE0029. So set description EP, set family Ethernet switching port mode trunk, switching native VLAN ID 100, and we need to add VLAN numbers for Wi-Fi and guest. Top compare description, change that from ports. We added the management VLAN and signature VLAN ID. Make comment, AP ports. Then the controller light is currently blinking on the AP. We just need to open it. So ping is up. So we should be able to refresh this and see what's happening. So the AP I would have connected before was an R510. The AP I just connected would have been an R310. Let's see what's going on with this AP. It says it's upgrading the firmware. Whatever code the AP is on, the controller will actually handle the upgrades without you having to do it manually. If you do want to upgrade the entire system, which is upgrade the controller itself, you would need to have an active support contract and things like that to be able to access the firmware. So let's just keep monitoring this. It's currently on this version, and the version of the system, let's go back to monitor access points, the version of the system, there's not there. The version of the system is 9.13. So the AP would keep rebooting and keep upgrading the firmware and whatever steps it needs to take to get there. Let's see. So we'll go back on the monitor. So we'll leave this to do whatever upgrades it needs to do. But that is the process of connecting the APs to the controller. You can actually plug the APs directly into the controller to have them connect. But once you change the management VLAN or the access VLAN of the device, you would have to do it using that VLAN configuration. So let's refresh this again and see if it comes up. So what we can do in the meantime is actually configure the access point names and stuff like that. In the next session, we would handle the WLANs and things like that. So let's edit this one. So we'll change this to R510 EP. What you can do is put location, so room 1, for example. And again, like I was saying, you could tie it to different groups. So if you have different groups, you could choose what you want broadcasting in that group. Again, you could choose, you could override the group settings and set whatever channels you wanted to broadcast in. You could actually adjust the power, which we don't usually recommend. And then you could put it on manual, you could have your DNS servers configured and things like that. So that's all we're going to do. We're just going to change the AP name. Let's go back and see if this AP is finished upgrading. Yes, it's currently there. It says connected. You see the IP address. You can see what channels it's broadcasting on. And you have some features here like SpeedFlex. SpeedFlex is a Ruckus specific application that you can use to, again, check the speed of the connection. Now, the speed would be calculated based on a specific client to the access points. So we'll call this 310, and we'll just put the location on 02. Okay. Like I said, all the APs go in the default AP group. And that's actually it for connecting the APs to the controller via switch. So I hope you all stay tuned for our next session. In our next session, we would go through how to create the WLAN and the WLAN groups. And in a later session, we will also discuss the AP, well, we added the APs already. So we'll just need to create the different AP groups and tie the different WLANs to the different groups to have different things broadcasting in different areas. So I hope you all stay tuned for that.